Most men grow up believing emotional attachment in women comes from looks, money, dominance, or smooth talk. And because of that belief, they spend years performing exhausting roles, trying to impress, trying to convince, trying to win approval. But what no one tells you is that emotional attachment does not begin where most men focus their effort. And the truth is quieter, deeper, and far more uncomfortable, because it requires you to stop chasing and start becoming. And this is where most men fail, not because they are incapable, but because no one ever explained the rules of the game beneath the surface. The psychological game that runs silently in the background of every interaction between men and women. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Women do not emotionally attach when you give them everything they want. They emotionally attach when they begin to feel something they cannot fully control. And that feeling is not excitement, not pleasure, not security, but tension, the right kind of psychological tension created when a man is grounded in himself, emotionally self-contained and unavailable in ways that have nothing to do with manipulation or cruelty, and everything to do with inner alignment. When a man knows who he is, what he values, and where he is going without needing permission, emotional attachment begins naturally, not because he tries to make it happen, but because his presence disrupts her emotional predictability. Most men are emotionally loud. They explain themselves, over-justify, over-communicate, and over-invest. Too early thinking. Clarity creates safety, but clarity too early kills curiosity and safety. Without depth kills desire. Emotional attachment grows in the space between certainty and mystery, and women are biologically and psychologically wired to explore emotional depth, not surface-level reassurance. When a man is emotionally disciplined, meaning he feels deeply, but does not leak his emotions indiscriminately, it creates a sense of depth that invites exploration. And once a woman begins exploring a man emotionally, she is already attached, even if she does not realize it yet. The mistake men make is assuming attachment comes from doing more, when in reality it comes from being more. Stillness, presence, restraint, and internal confidence signal value. At a subconscious level, a man who does not rush to label, define, or lock down emotions communicates something powerful without words. He communicates that his life is already full, and that emotional connection is an addition, not a requirement. And this shifts the entire emotional dynamic, because now she is not reacting to his pursuit, she is reacting to her own curiosity. Women become emotionally attached when a man makes them feel seen, without trying to fix them. Most men listen with the intention to solve, to advise, to correct, but emotional attachment forms when a woman feels understood without being managed when she speaks. And a man listens calmly, without interruption, without judgment, without needing to prove intelligence or superiority. Her nervous system relaxes and opens. And in that openness, attachment forms, not because he did anything impressive, but because he created emotional safety through presence, not performance. Another trigger for emotional attachment is emotional contrast. When a man is warm but not needy, kind but not compliant, strong but not aggressive, playful but not foolish, this balance creates emotional unpredictability in a healthy way. She cannot reduce him to a simple category, and the human brain becomes attached to what it cannot easily predict, because it keeps returning to resolve the uncertainty. This is not manipulation, this is psychology, and the difference matters. Manipulation comes from insecurity. Psychology comes from self-mastery. Men who constantly seek validation teach women how to treat them, and women unconsciously respond to the level of self-respect a man displays. When a man does not chase approval, does not seek constant reassurance, and does not panic at emotional distance, he communicates emotional abundance. And abundance is attractive because it implies choice. Emotional attachment grows when a woman feels she is choosing a man, not rescuing him, not stabilizing him, not completing him, but choosing him freely. One of the strongest attachment triggers is when a man lives according to internal standards rather than external approval. When he says no calmly without guilt, when he holds boundaries without anger, when he walks away from disrespect without drama. This creates a psychological imprint because it signals emotional strength, and women are drawn to emotional strength, even when they do not consciously articulate it, because emotional strength equals safety at a primal level, not safety in the boring, predictable sense, but safety in knowing this man can handle pressure, uncertainty, and emotional storms without collapsing. Women attach when they feel emotionally challenged, not intellectually challenged, not competitively challenged, but emotionally challenged. When a man does not mirror every emotion, when he does not immediately validate every feeling, but instead remains centered, offering grounded perspective without invalidation. This creates polarity. Polarity is not dominance. It is difference, emotional difference, that invites movement and exploration. Attachment grows when she feels she can grow emotionally around a man rather than control him. Another misunderstood trigger is emotional packing. Men who rush intimacy kill attachment. Men who allow connection to unfold naturally, without forcing timelines, labels, or expectations, create anticipation. Anticipation is the emotional fuel of attachment. When a woman feels time expanding rather than collapsing, she begins to emotionally invest, because her mind fills the space with imagination, and imagination deepens attachment more powerfully than reality ever could. A man who is comfortable with silence is rare. Silence reveals internal stability. When a man does not fill every gap with words, jokes, explanations, or validation, he creates emotional depth. Silence allows emotions to surface. And when emotions surface, attachment forms. Men who fear silence reveal insecurity. Men who embrace silence reveal confidence, and confidence anchors emotional attraction. Women attach when a man respects himself enough to walk away from situations that do not align with his values, not with anger, not with ultimatums, but with quiet certainty. This creates a powerful emotional echo, because it shows he does not negotiate his identity for connection. And paradoxically, this increases emotional pull, because it signals that connection with him is earned, not guaranteed. Emotional attachment also grows when a man does not pedestalize a woman, when he appreciates her without worshiping, when he desires her without losing himself. This balance creates equality, and equality is emotionally grounding. Women do not want to be the emotional center of a man's universe. They want to be part of a universe that already exists. One of the deepest attachment mechanisms is when a man allows a woman to experience her emotions fully without trying to rescue her from discomfort, sadness, frustration, or uncertainty. When a man can sit calmly in emotional discomfort without trying to fix, escape, or dominate it, he becomes emotionally anchoring, and anchoring creates attachment, because it communicates resilience and reliability at a nervous system level. Men often believe vulnerability creates attachment, but vulnerability without strength creates dependency, not attraction. True vulnerability is selective, intentional, and grounded. It is sharing from a place of wholeness, not need. When a man shares his struggles without seeking validation, without collapsing emotionally, he creates trust, and trust deepens attachment when combined with strength. Emotional attachment forms when a woman feels emotionally expanded around a man, not emotionally managed, not emotionally controlled, not emotionally drained. Expanded meaning she feels more herself, more alive, more grounded, more curious. This happens when a man leads his life with purpose, direction, an inner calm, not chaos, not urgency, not desperation. Purpose is magnetic because it gives emotional context to connection. A man who does not compete with a woman emotionally, who does not try to outshine, outtalk, or outperform her, creates emotional space, and space invites attachment. Emotional suffocation kills desire. Emotional freedom fuels it. Women also attach when they feel a man sees through surface-level behavior into core identity, when he responds to who she is, not just how she behaves. This requires emotional intelligence, not strategy. When a man names emotions calmly, without accusation, without analysis paralysis, it creates emotional resonance. Resonance leads to attachment. Men who understand that attraction is a byproduct, not a goal, move differently. They stop chasing reactions and start cultivating presence. And presence is the real trigger. Presence cannot be faked. It is felt before it is understood, and women respond to presence instinctively. The final truth most men avoid is this: women attach when a man is emotionally complete without them, not closed, not distant, but complete, when connection is desired, but not required, when love is welcomed, but not begged for, when intimacy is shared, but not clung to. This emotional independence creates the deepest attachment because it removes pressure and allows desire to grow organically. This is why the men who try the least often receive the most, not because they are careless, but because they are centered, not because they are detached, but because they are grounded. Emotional attachment is not something you force, it is something you allow, by becoming the kind of man whose emotional world is stable, deep, and self-governed. When you stop performing and start embodying, when you stop chasing and start aligning, when you stop explaining and start living, women do not just notice, they attach, not consciously, not logically, but emotionally. And once emotional attachment forms, everything else follows naturally, without effort, without manipulation, without games. This is the quiet psychology behind emotional attachment, the part no one teaches because it cannot be sold as a trick. It requires inner work, emotional discipline, and patience. But for the man willing to walk that path, the rewards are not just attraction, but respect, connection, and genuine desire that lasts beyond novelty, beyond appearances, beyond time.